No people were associating me with the situation because I went to the Boosie pool party and he happened to be there and he happened to be standing.
Boosie just sent shockwaves through the rap world. He locked in a federal plea deal, and now the talk in the streets is that this move could put J Prince and his notorious dice game crew right in the federal spotlight. This is no minor bust anymore. If the rumors are true, we might be looking at the beginning of a federal storm that could shake Houston harder than anyone expected. And here is the twist. This plea deal is not just about Boosie's gun charge. Word is the feds are digging into a high-stakes underground dice network that has circled rappers like predators for years, draining pockets and creating enemies. And sitting right in the middle of that mess, the same investigators who have been quietly piecing together the murder of Duke the Jeweler. They have been retracing every dice game, every name, every shadowy figure tied to those nights. And now Boosie has placed himself in the center of it all. Now let's be real. This changes the entire game. By cutting a deal with the government, Boosie sparked a firestorm of rumors. Everyone is asking the question nobody wants to say out loud. Is he only protecting himself? Or did he just hand the feds the weapon they need to take down one of the most feared groups in hip-hop? Imagine what happens if he starts naming names tied to mob ties. Because if even half of these whispers hold weight, J Prince, the man long accused of controlling Houston's checking culture, could finally be staring at federal heat that no amount of charm can escape. The streets are already connecting the dots, whispering that Boosie may have put mob ties right in the feds' crosshairs. And the wildest part? It all links back to that infamous dice game. The same night Duke the Jeweler was killed. That one game did not just end in bloodshed, it may have sparked the downfall of an entire empire. So let's break this down. We start with Houston's dice game underworld, where luck was never truly on your side. Dice games have always been part of Houston's underground scene. But when you step into the ones tied to J Prince Jr., you're not talking about casual backroom dice. This is a different world. These games are not for fun. They are invite-only traps where tens of thousands can disappear in minutes. The check-in rule guarantees the house knows exactly who is sitting at the table. But here is the dirty little secret the streets keep whispering about. These games are not just about rolling dice. They are about stacking the deck before you even sit down. Word is Mob Ties runs the setup like a machine. The playbook is simple. Bring rappers and big spenders into a private room. Keep the bottles flowing, stack the cash high and sell the illusion that it is all about luck. But the real action is happening in the crew's hands. According to Charleston, the system works with 3 men in rotation. One rolls, one holds, one switches, and those dice, they are not fresh from the box. They are shaved, loaded, and tampered with, so the odds tilt exactly where they want them. The math never changes. The house always wins.
Texas know what to play is. If you rap it, you celebrity. If you like the strip club, you like to do this, you check in with them, they bringing them bad dice on you. Why you think they Duke the Jeweler, they really couldn't get him? That's why they had...
J Prince Jr. was rumored to be pocketing around 30% off the top, while everyone else walked away lighter. But then came the night that flipped everything upside down. The night Duke the Jeweler walked in, Duke was no rookie. He had just left a wild concert, dripping in millions worth of jewelry and carrying the kind of confidence that makes people pay attention. He sat at that table with big money and zero fear. And somehow, whether by accident or design, he ended up with dice that were not part of the house rotation. Suddenly Duke started hitting back to back, first stacking thousands, then tens of thousands until he was up an unbelievable $100,000. You can see it in the footage, the smiles fading, whispers spreading, the energy in the room tightening like a noose. Because in a game rigged for losses, a man walking away 6 figures up is not luck, it is disrespect, it is disruption, it is danger. Minutes later, Duke headed toward his car. No security, no entourage, just himself. Then the silence broke. Gunshots. He dropped before he even realized what hit him. And here is the chilling part. His jewelry was still on him, his cash untouched. This was not about robbery. It was about sending a message. Duke did not just win money that night. He broke their control. And in their world, that is a line you cannot cross. Duke the Jeweler was never just another face in the crowd. He was a respected Chicago legend in the jewelry world. His clients looked like the Billboard charts. Rappers lined up for his iced out custom work worth millions. His flawless reputation made him a staple at hip-hop's biggest events. He was not just selling jewelry, he was building identity and status. So when Boosie personally invited him to Houston, Duke believed it was strictly business. But the streets whisper Houston had something else waiting for him. We know Duke was ambushed on his way to his car in that parking lot. But what caught the feds' attention was that none of his jewelry was taken. Not a single chain, not a bracelet, not even his Louis Vuitton bag packed with more than $1 million worth of custom work. That bag should have vanished instantly in a robbery. But somehow it ended up sitting inside Boosie's house. His excuse? He claimed Duke asked him to hold the bag during the game, and after the shooting, it stayed with him. But that story does not add up. The feds revealed Duke's phone went dead right after pinging near Boosie's recording studio. On top of that, investigators claim they have surveillance, texts, and witnesses placing members of Boosie's circle in Duke's final hours. That is not coincidence. That is a timeline. And it gets darker. The feds have even zeroed in on Boosie's own nephew as the possible shooter, instead of letting Duke's death blend into Boosie's other legal troubles. Prosecutors carved out his case as a separate federal murder investigation. That means this is not background noise. It is a top priority. It is a message that Duke's death is getting undivided federal focus, and they are convinced it was not just a random parking lot hit. Which brings us back to that Louis Vuitton bag. It is not just luggage. It might be the very piece of evidence tying Boosie's name to federal files, in a way he cannot escape. And that is why the streets believe Boosie's federal plea deal might go far beyond his 2023 gun case. The feds are moving like chess masters, and every road circles back to Duke's murder. They split Duke's case off deliberately, and that's the classic federal playbook. When the government pulls a case out on its own, it means one thing: they want full focus. No distractions, no excuses. It also gives them leverage. They can dangle leniency with one hand, help us here, and will ease up there while tightening the grip with the other. Rum of his life, pinged near Boosie's recording studio before going dead. That's not a detail the feds overlook. That's the kind of anchor they build an entire timeline around. Then there's the physical evidence. Items investigators say they pulled from Duke's rental car that allegedly connect back to Boosie's circle. Add in the whispers from witnesses, and the walls start closing in. But the part Boosie can't control, the rumors that people from his own camp are already talking. Once the feds get one person to fold, it snowballs, stories change, timelines clash, loyalty disappears, and the quickest way for anyone in that circle to save themselves is to hand over exactly what the feds want. That's when deals stop looking like betrayal and start looking like survival. So, imagine being Boosie, juggling a federal gun case, a separate murder probe circling your name, and knowing people close to you might flip. Suddenly, a plea deal doesn't just look smart, it looks like the only move left. But here's the chilling reality. There are only two names heavy enough to trade: J. Prince Jr. or his father, J. Prince Sr. And the track record shows where the feds are aiming. Look at the pattern. Two of the most high-profile dice games tied to J. Prince Jr. both ended in bloodshed. Duke the jeweler, gunned down hours after a game. Takeoff, shot outside another one. Different nights, different faces, same outcome, big money on the table and bullets by morning. And it's not just fans connecting the dots. Industry voices are saying it out loud. WAC 100 has openly accused J. Prince Jr. of running these, checking games like traps with deadly consequences. The whispers have become headlines, and the pressure on mob ties has never been heavier. The accusations paint J. Prince Jr.'s dice games as setups, not gambling. According to Charleston White, these nights are traps built on rigged dice and iron control, where even a streak of good luck can put a target on your back before you hit the parking lot. One roll to lucky, one stack to high, and suddenly you're marked. This isn't gambling. It's a system where power moves are made in the shadows, and survival depends on who's calling the shots. And here's the bombshell. If Boosie really is talking, if he starts naming names from the inside, the entire checking culture that's ruled Houston for years could collapse overnight. Imagine it. An empire of fear, favors, and unspoken rules dismantled with a few words in a federal courtroom. And the ripples are already spreading. Some artists with money and status are quietly pulling away from Houston, cancelling shows, skipping appearances, and steering clear of any door mob ties might control. Officially, J. Prince Sr. keeps denying there's such a thing as a check and rule, but insiders say the pressure is still there, just quieter now, enforced through his son's network. After Duke the jeweler and Takeoff to high-profile deaths tied to dice nights, under mob ties watch, the fear is real across the industry. And it's not just about avoiding bullets, it's about the politics, the alliances, the risk of standing too close when things go left. Older rappers have been warning the younger ones to stay out of Houston's dice scene entirely, because once you sit at that table, it's not just about the cash on the floor, it's about who you've tied yourself to. If the night turns deadly, take Finesta Times, for example. He went from standing beside J. Prince Jr. to blasting him publicly, claiming he was cheated out of money and hinting at serious disrespect behind closed doors. Then came the whispers about a baby mama scandal fueling their fallout. Whether true or not, It added more cracks to the image mob ties tried to project. What once looked like loyalty and family started looking like smoke and mirrors. And that's the problem. People are starting to notice that J. Prince Jr. is losing allies quicker than he can pull in replacements. Artists are distancing themselves. And now even record labels are taking a step back. With dice games scandals spilling into the news and violence constantly linked to mob ties, industry execs are quietly warning their teams to steer clear of Houston chaos. One reckless headline can ruin $1 million rollout, and no brand wants to risk being tied to a situation that feels just one Instagram live away from a crime scene. That is why Boosie's rumored cooperation has the entire rap world on edge. If he begins dropping names, the fallout will not just hit Houston, it could shake the entire rap game nationwide. The whole check-in culture could crumble, and mob ties' grip on the streets could break apart in real time. But the bigger story is what is happening behind closed doors. The feds are quietly lining up a much larger play. Up until now, most of the mob ties talk stayed in the streets and social media, but federal agencies are reportedly building a case that could stretch straight into Houston's own police department. Think about it. Recent federal sweeps have already taken down entire drug rings and violent crews across the city. Agencies like the FBI, ATF, and even ICE have been working hand in hand with HPD to dismantle full-scale operations. These were not minor busts. They were designed to take out whole networks, from street-level shooters to the money men at the top. And if mob ties lands on that same list, the feds will not be looking for scraps. They will be aiming to dismantle the entire infrastructure. Word in Houston says sealed warrants are already floating around, ready to flip into surprise arrests at any moment, with HPD's criminal intelligence unit working directly with federal task forces. Nothing is sliding under the radar. Every call, every favor, every move off the record is being tracked, logged, and broken down under a microscope. And here is the part that has everyone nervous. All it might take to blow this wide open is one solid piece of evidence. Imagine a leaked video from those infamous dice nights showing exactly who was in the room, who was holding the cash, or who gave the nod when violence broke out. That would not be gossip anymore. That would be case-closing evidence that could bury careers and wipe out an empire overnight. This is why Boosie's position is so dangerous right now. If he really is cooperating, the feds could give him protection in exchange for inside intel. But in the streets, protection cuts both ways. Once people believe you are feeding the other side, your name does not stay in whispers, it turns into threats. In that world, claiming safety can actually be the most unsafe move of all. This could be the final chapter for Houston's check-in culture, or it could spark a whole new war between silence and survival. Either way, the streets are watching, the feds are listening, and Boosie's next move could determine the fate of more than just himself. So what do you think? Is Boosie really about to flip the game upside down, or is this just smoke meant to scare mob ties? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if you are locked in. Subscribe for the next breakdown, and turn on the bell so you never miss when the truth drops. I will see you in the next one.